Good morning, everyone. I wanted to hop on here and talk for a few moments this morning about this wonderful supermoon that we have taking place this evening. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, 2020. This will be the strongest supermoon that we have for the rest of the year. We've actually had a couple of supermoons already, but this one will be the strongest. Now, basically, what that means is that when you look at it, the moon's going to be up to 20% brighter, which is just absolutely fantastic. Pull out your cameras. I've seen some great pictures come from all over the US last night, posted up online. Unfortunately, where we are right now, it's a little cloudy, but I'm hoping by tonight, going into tomorrow morning, we might get a break in those clouds and be able to get some moon pictures ourselves. But when a moon comes that close to the Earth, which is what is happening with the supermoon, there are a lot of changes and a lot of ways that the Earth and we as humans are affected. For years, humans have been living and navigating by the moon and by the sun and the stars. But if you ever wondered if there's a difference when we come close to a full moon or whenever we come into a supermoon, talk to a fisherman. They'll tell you about the tides. Talk to a policeman. Talk to a nurse. Talk to a fireman. Talk to people at hospitals. They will definitely tell you, even if they don't understand it, that there's a surge in energy that takes place that truly affects us. And we can see it in women's cycles, we can see it in animal reproduction, we can see it in animal behavior overall. So nothing here is immune to it. And that's not a bad thing. It's just one of those things that we have to understand and we have to learn how to work with. Now, with this particular supermoon comes some very different energies, and that is part of our ascension process. I feel like, and what I've been told, what I've been shown, is that this moon is going to be one of our greatest opportunities to open to advanced, expanded consciousness. So we have some wonderful, wonderful opportunities popping up for us right now. But again, if we choose to work with them. This is really a time where we have to learn to trust what we're receiving, trust in ourselves. Unfortunately, as a human culture, there hasn't been much in our society that says, learn to trust in yourself. Be okay with what you receive. If you think about it, what are we told? Oh, Dr. So-and-so said this, or someone else said this or recommended it, or someone's doctor's dentist said this, and I'm not making fun of anybody. You've all heard it. The soup diet, the cabbage diet becomes the best thing to do for everyone. There are just all kinds of things out there. And they may work for some people. I feel like everything is for somebody, but not everything is for everybody. So that being the case, the only way you're going to know what is for your body and what is best for you, energetically, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, is to tune in and to trust. But again, in today's society, we haven't been taught to do that. So for a lot of people, this is taking them outside of that comfort zone. And what happens when we get taken out of our comfort zone? People look like they go crazy, aka toilet paper. So allowing that uncomfortability to become the new normal for us, which is basically what's happening as part of this ascension process, we have to learn to trust, learn to figure out what we believe in and how we connect with that. Because part of this supermoon energy, part of this expanding and growth in consciousness is the fact that we are now able to have stronger, more clear communication with our higher selves. So our higher selves are coming in and saying, okay, I see what you're doing. I see why you're doing it, but is that really what you want to do? Is that really what you want to be doing? So in my thought process and in my understanding, this time is really about reevaluation. And this supermoon is a fantastic time to do it. What better time than with all this expanded energy? Supermoon equals super energy. Why not work with it? As we're opening up to this consciousness and we're learning to trust within ourselves, we're learning to trust more with our higher selves, we're really sitting down and saying, okay, this is an opportunity to say, what in my life serves me and what in my life doesn't serve me? Now, those sound like simple questions, and they really are, but simple does not mean easy. So I encourage you, I implore you, I challenge you to sit down and to start making some lists. List some things in your life that are going on. And then beside that, in a second column, decide, is this the way I want it to be? Is this serving me? Is this working towards my higher good? Now, this can be work, this can be relationships, this can be activities and hobbies, but this can also be your thought processes. If you're always telling yourself, I'm no good at this, I can't do this, but that is the direction that you want to go, maybe it's time to challenge yourself with that and use some of this full moon energy, supermoon energy, to really release those things and to instill the new thought processes that you want. So again, sounds simple. It is simple, but it isn't always easy. We as humans like habit. We like certainty. We like structure. We like form. And goodness, there's not a whole lot of that right now. We are really being shaken to our core, but that is part of this process. So what I try to do for myself, what I recommend for my clients, what I want to share with you is please use this to your benefit. We incarnated on this planet at this time to be able to work with these energies. And we can observe what's happening out there for those that aren't working with the energies. All of a sudden, there's all these crazy syndromes and there's all these crazy diseases and people are choosing to leave left and right. And a lot of times it's because they just can't deal with this awakening energy. They can't deal with the uncertainty of it. But not saying it's easy on anyone, but we can make it through this. But sometimes it's knowing the tools. Sometimes it's recognizing this is what's happening. And you add in supermoon and new energy coming in, and one of the first things that usually gets disturbed, at least for me anyway, is your sleep habits. And all of a sudden people are exhausted. And if you're not sleeping well, or even if you are sleeping well and you're doing work in dreamtime state, guess what? Your processing and your awakening time does not have the clarity that it would normally have and the rationality it would normally have. So again, this is where people start feeling like they're really losing their stuff. And, I'm an observer. I always have been. And I'm fascinated by the way people will try to work with things and the ingenuity that's involved and how hard sometimes we'll fight to stay stuck to what's familiar. And again, I encourage you, work with this current energy. Learn to trust yourself, even if it takes time, which it will. Start with some basic steps. When you trust you and you trust your connection and you trust what's coming in, the world becomes a different place. You look at the world through different glasses and through different perceptions. Before I go, I want to share one simple ceremony with you. This is one that I do. I really believe that the human mind, the human soul, really likes ceremony. It gives us a way to bring things up, to tap in with things, to check in with things, to honor things, and then to release things. Now, you may have heard this before, and if you have, hopefully this is just a good refresher. But what I would suggest is to first clear yourself. Always important. So whether that is sage, whether that is any type of sage mix that clears the energy, whether that's a Palo Santo, whatever. There's some great essential oil sprays out there. There's some great crystal sprays out there. Whatever works for you, whatever resonates for you, go ahead and clear your energy. You want to go into this release ceremony in a very clear state. Okay? Second would be to set your space. Now, this doesn't have to be anything fancy. I personally am a KISS principle person. So I like simple, but I also like elegant. Everything has meaning. Everything is authentic. So you have to decide for you. Set your space. Maybe it's one simple candle, or maybe it's a crystal grid, or maybe you have flowers and you have your favorite books and you have some mementos. Maybe you have your drum. Maybe you have your rattle. Whatever works for you to set that sacred space. Okay. Next, take a few moments and center in. Now that you have created this beautiful space, including yourself, nice and clear, take a moment and really tap in. There's so much going on out here that we're tapped in with. A lot of times we're not as tapped in here as we would like to be. So take a few moments. You can meditate. You can just close your eyes, center in, speak with whoever high vibrational that you speak with. Allow that energy to come in and help ground you and help center you. Then once you've achieved that, I would suggest with pen and paper, going ahead and writing down anything that is bothering you, anything that you want clarity on, anything that you are ready to release. Okay? And remember, this is your personal ceremony. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. And it doesn't have to be 50 pages long. Maybe there's one particular thing that you're working with, or maybe there's 5, or maybe there's 10. It doesn't matter. This is your ceremony. But when we take it out of the human mind and consciousness and energy stream and we put it on paper, it's like having a book in a library. It takes it out of us and puts it over here on the shelf. Okay? So it frees up space within us. So once you do that, I would encourage you to rip, burn, whatever works for you. Personally, I'm a ripper and burner. I love to see things. I love to hear the paper rip. And I love to see things go up in flames. It does my heart good, does my soul good to see it all release. I'm a very visual person. Maybe you don't need that. It is entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong in this. There's whatever works for you. Okay? And then here's a step that a lot of people miss. The universe does not like a void. So if you are releasing things, once you have done that release ceremony and you have burned, you have folded and thrown away, you have shredded, whatever works for you, on a separate piece of paper, now write what you're going to replace that with. If you're wanting to release your fear of spiders, then replace that with, I now am accepting that spiders are another living creature, another sentient being on the planet. Whatever words that you would like to replace it with, just make them positive. Again, the universe does not like a void, so you can't just empty, because if you just empty, then the same thing's going to come back in because you're still at the same vibrational resonance for it. So fill that back in with whatever it is that you want to put in that space. Okay? Then I would suggest going ahead and folding up that paper and putting it somewhere, completely out of sight, completely out of mind, and not checking back in with that until new moon. And on new moon, I'll do another video and give you further instructions on what you can do with that. But at the end of your ceremony, go ahead and close up your space. I go ahead and resage myself. Again, thanking everyone and staying in complete gratitude. It's kind of like the sweeping or the doing dishes, where it's a very physically mindless, but you can be extremely mindful and stay in that space, but stay in that space of gratitude. Again, you're working with some phenomenal energy right now, remembering that you wanted to be here in this time and space, in this incarnation, to work with this. So I encourage you, I challenge you, work with it well. Enjoy the full moon energy, release all that you're ready to release, and please welcome in this wonderful awakening of consciousness, expansive energy that's coming in, and work to trust you. And I'll talk with you again soon.